A man named Michael described coming home after losing his wife of 38 years. He said, "Walking into that empty house, nobody to say hello, nobody to ask how my day went, no smell of something cooking. That was when it hit me hardest. Not the funeral, coming home." If you have lost your spouse, you know exactly which moment Michael is describing, and you probably have your own version of it. A different room, a different detail, but the same wheat. Here is the thing nobody tells you. The first few weeks, people show up, cards arrive, meals appear, the phone rings. There's noise and movement and people who love you filling the space where the silence lives. And then, quietly, one by one, they go back to their own lives. And you are left with yours, which looks nothing like it did before. You have probably been saying, "I'm fine," for long enough now that people have started believing you. Maybe some days you almost believe it yourself. This video is for the person behind that fine. Because what you are actually living through, what the grief of losing your spouse really does, is nothing like anyone prepares you for. In this video, we cover 5 specific things that grief after losing a spouse does to a person that almost nobody talks about, including why the absence feels louder than any noise, why you lose your own identity alongside your partner, why year 2 is harder than year 1, and what research shows actually helps people find their way through. This is what nobody warned you about. The absence has a presence. People talk about grief as emptiness, as a hollow feeling, a void, and they are not wrong, but they are not giving you the full picture either. Because the house does not feel empty, it feels occupied by an absence, by the specific shape of someone who is no longer there, filling every corner of every room. You walk past the chair they always sat in. Their clothes are still in the wardrobe. Their reading glasses are still on the table beside where they slept. The indent of them is still in the pillow. And their absence is louder than any noise you have ever heard. A widow named Patricia described it this way. She said after her husband died, she would hear him, not in a frightening way, just the particular sounds of his presence that 42 years of marriage had trained her ears to expect. The sound of him in the kitchen in the morning, the particular sound of him settling into his chair. Sounds her ears kept waiting for that never came. The silence is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of everything that sound used to mean. And if you have been living inside that particular silence, I want you to know that naming it, even just to yourself, even just right now, matters. Because things that are named are things that can be carried differently. 2. You don't just lose them, you lose who you were with them. This is the loss inside the loss, the one nobody names, and it is the one that hollows out the months and years that follow. When you lose your spouse, you lose the person who knew you best, the one who held your full history, who remembered the young version of you, who knew the story behind every scar and every fear, and every dream you stopped mentioning to anyone else decades ago. But there is something else you lose along with them. You lose the version of yourself that only existed with them. We becomes I overnight, and that is not just a grammatical change. It is an identity rupture. For decades, your routines, your decisions, your future plans, all of it was constructed around another person. Your whole sense of self had another person woven through it. And when that person is gone, you are left asking a question that nobody around you can answer. Who am I now? A 71-year-old man described it after losing his wife of 44 years. He said, "I know exactly who I was as a husband. I have absolutely no idea who I am as a man." That sentence contains more honest grief than most people manage to say in the first year of loss. And if it landed somewhere in your chest just now, you are not alone in that. Research on widowhood consistently names identity loss as one of the under-acknowledged dimensions of spousal grief. It is not just that you miss them, it is that without them, a version of you has gone missing too. You are not starting over. You are starting from a place that has never existed before in your life. And that is one of the most disorienting things a human being can be asked to do. 3. Grief doesn't come in stages. It comes in ambushes. You've heard of the 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. Neatly ordered, moving from one to the next until you arrive somewhere called the other side. Here's what no one tells you. Grief after losing your spouse does not work like that. It works like this. You have a reasonable morning. You eat something, you speak to your child on the phone, and you almost feel like yourself. And then you walk into the supermarket and a song comes on, a song from a road trip you took together in 1987, and you are standing in the bread aisle and you cannot breathe. Or you see something on the television, something funny, something they would have loved, and your hand reaches for the phone before your brain remembers. Or you wake at 3 a.m. and for 3 seconds, just 3 seconds, you forget. And then you remember, and the forgetting makes the remembering worse than it was before you slept. Or you find something they wrote, a note in their handwriting on the back of an envelope, their handwriting, and you sit down on the kitchen floor. This is what grief actually looks like. Not stages, ambushes. Without warning, without schedule, in the bread aisle at 3 a.m. on a Wednesday when nothing was supposed to happen. And there is nothing wrong with you for experiencing it this way. This is not weakness. This is what it looks like when love has somewhere to be and nowhere to go. 4. Everyone else's grief ends before yours does. This one is the source of more silent suffering than almost anything else in the aftermath of losing a spouse. The people you love have a timeline for your grief. They do not mean it cruelly, they do not even know they have it, but it is there. 6 weeks in, they stop calling every day. 3 months in, someone gently suggests getting out more. 6 months in, a well-meaning person says something about moving forward. A year in, the subject largely disappears from conversation. Life carries on around you. And you smile, and you say you are fine, because you can feel the expectation, and because you love them and do not want to burden them, and because explaining the truth feels like too much. But inside, you are not on that timeline. Inside, the ambushes are still arriving. Inside, the silence is still there every single morning. Inside, a year feels like nothing against 40 years. And the gap between the timeline everyone expects and the timeline you are actually living, that gap is where a second layer of loneliness deepens. Because now, you are not just grieving your spouse, you are grieving alone. One woman described being 14 months into widowhood and still feeling utterly frozen. She said, "I go about my chores daily, but time has become something I am swimming in, one day indistinguishable from the next." 14 months, and everyone around her had long since moved on. If this is where you are, please hear this directly. Your grief is not too long. There is no expiry date on loving someone deeply, and anyone who suggests otherwise, however gently, has not yet been asked to lose the person they built their entire life around. 5. Year 2 is harder than year 1, and nobody warns you. If you are in your first year, I'm going to tell you something now that I wish someone had told me earlier. And if you are in your second year or beyond, this might be the most important thing you hear today. Year 2 is harder. Not for everyone, but for many, many more than anyone talks about. The first year has a kind of terrible structure to it. The firsts, the first birthday without them, the first Christmas, the first anniversary. There's a brutality to it, but also a strange rhythm. You can feel yourself moving through the calendar. And then year 2 arrives, and the numbness that quietly cushioned the first year begins to lift. And what's underneath it is something rawer than you expected. And the support, the people, the check-ins, the casseroles, all of that is long gone. And you realize you are only now truly beginning to feel what you have lost. Research on widowhood and grief confirms this pattern. The expectation, including your own, is that time heals, that each month should feel better than the last. And when year 2 arrives harder than year 1, many widows and widowers quietly conclude that something is wrong with them, that they are grieving incorrectly, that they should be further along by now. There is nothing wrong with you. Year 2 is when the real grief work begins, because year 2 is when the world has stepped back and the reality of your new life has fully arrived. And that is not a sign of failure. It's a sign that you are finally, truly processing what happened. And processing, however painful, is how people find their way through. These 5 things are real. And if any of them landed for you today, you are not stuck, not broken, and not taking too long. You are someone who loved deeply. And deep love leaves a deep mark. What finding your way through that actually looks like, the real things, real advice, that is exactly what we will cover in the next video. The grief of losing your spouse, how to actually find your way through. It is linked right here. I think you are ready for it. Take care of yourself.